Hello, students, and welcome to our math class today. So today, for our do now, we will respond thoughtfully to the question, which today is all about emotions. Our objective is to perform integer operations, but today we're going to work with some larger numbers, so we'll have a little bit more of a challenge. Our essential question is, how can I easily, okay, we're developing fluency here, apply the integer rules accurately while solving problems with 2 and 3 digit numbers. So where the numbers are getting a little bit louder, I guess they're louder, a little bit larger now, I meant to say, as we work with integers. And our assignment is to watch this video, which you've already started doing. And then we have integer review self-checking worksheets A, B, and C, and you'll see what those look like in a second. And our exit ticket will be similar to yesterday because we really want to get these rules down pat. So we're going to write the basic rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. I encourage you to please make sure all your classwork is finished. Whatever we don't get done in class, we can do that at home for homework. We have access to Teams and to these videos, and you have your workbook. There are still one or two people that didn't click see results to submit their quiz. So if that's you, a lot of you did the quiz, but I don't see it until you click that see results at the bottom of the page. So make sure you do that. So check and make sure you're all set with that. And we'll have another short quiz on Wednesday. So let's get started. Our do now for today says to choose one positive emotion. And suppose I were to choose, oh, quiet, feeling quiet. Now, name other nuances or very slight differences and versions of that emotion. And is it important to be specific? So if I pick quiet, I might also think about calm, satisfied, at ease, chill. And would it be important one word over the other? It would to me, because maybe I'm calm because all my work is done and I feel ready for a test tomorrow. Or maybe I'm calm just because I feel like I've had a really good day. I've done my best. I've done everything I can. And I feel really good about the work I did. It's kind of an internal pride. And that's a different kind of calm. So might describe that differently. So think about those emotions and write about that for a minute. After our lesson, our exit ticket, similar to yesterday, we're going to write the basic rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. Integers, as you recall, are those positive and negative numbers, but do not include fractions and decimals. So we are going to look for those addition rules, subtraction rules, multiplication and division rules. And the multiplication and division rules, I think students usually get those pretty quickly. I think these are the challenges, especially the subtraction rules. So you might want to spend a few extra minutes thinking about those when you work today. So we've got 3 integer review self-checking sheets, A, B, and C, and they get progressively harder. So what do we mean when we say they are self-checking? So it says, let's read the directions first. Start with question 1. Insert the answer from question 1 into the line in question 2, and then answer question 2. Repeat until you have completed all of the questions in this manner. If you answer all the questions correctly, you should end up with 27 as your final answer. Let's look at that. So if we've done everything right, The number that goes in here when divided by 5 will give us 27 as a final answer. So why don't I get you started, and then you can see how you do with the rest of them. So I have a negative plus a negative. The rule for adding is same sign, keep the sign. So when adding integers, if they have the same sign, keep the sign. So 32 and 18 equal 50. They both have the same sign, so I need to keep the sign of 50. Now I'm going to take that 50 and I need to put it here. Now I have to do this problem. 2 times 50. Well, those are both positive, and positive times a positive equals a positive, so 2 times 50 is 100. Now I put the 100 here. Oops, looks like I just realized we made a little mistake. Up here, I have a negative 50. I needed to put a negative 50 there. That makes this a negative 100. A positive times a negative is a negative. Better work carefully. Okay, that means this is a negative 100. This is a tricky one. We have negative 100 minus a negative 80. Well, what does the rule say? The rule is to add, when subtracting, add the opposite. Okay, so I'm going to add, and what's the opposite of negative 80? Positive 80. So I have negative 100 plus 80, and then I use the addition rules, which would mean subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. 100 minus 80 is 20, keeping the sign of the larger absolute value. That would give me an answer of negative 20. Look at the negative 20 here. Now I have a negative times a negative. Negative 20 times negative 9. Remember, when you're adding anything that ends in a 0, we can do 9 times 2 is 18 and just add the 0. And because it's a negative times a negative, the answer is positive. And we do not put the positive sign. That's an invisible positive. But now we need to put the 180 here, positive 180, and divide it by negative 15. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So 180 divided by 15 is 12. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So now you've seen how to start these. I want you to take a few minutes, pause the video, try the rest of them on your own, and let's see if you come out correctly. So pause the video now and work on the rest of the page. Okay, did you try them on your own? I hope so. So where did we end up? We're at number 6. We have to take this negative 12 and we have to put it here. Negative 12 times 3. So a negative times a positive, negative 36. So now we put the negative 36 here. And we have 33 plus 36. Which is the larger absolute value here? The larger absolute value is 36. So we know we take that sign. Our sign will be negative. And 36 minus 33 is 3. We take the negative 3. And I'm going to put it in parentheses so I don't have two negatives next to each other. Okay, so now I've got, this is one of those tricky ones. I've got negative 48 minus negative 33. That's one of those ones where I need to add the opposite. When you subtract, you add the opposite. So, or I say sometimes when you subtract, when you subtract a negative, you make them both positive. So it would be negative 48 plus 3. You change that to a positive 3. And that would be negative 45. You put the negative 45 here. And 90 minus a negative 45, again, when we have subtracting a negative, we need to be really careful. So write it as adding the opposite, 90 plus a positive 45, which would equal 135. And let's see if our final answer checks. Remember, these are self-checking. 135 divided by 5. So let's do a little long division. 5 goes into 13 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract 3. 3 is the remainder. I bring down the 5. 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 7 times 5 is 35. No remainder. And the answer is indeed 27. Our answer checks. So let's go on to the next self-checking worksheet, and let's change our color. Same instructions. We start with the first question. We put our answer in the next slot, and the next one, we'll use blue this time. And we're going to end up this time with 125 as a final answer. Let's see how we do. So we have here 20 divided by negative 2 times negative 92. Well, we start here. Negative divided by negative 20. Negative 20 divided by negative 2 is 10. 10 times negative 92 is going to equal negative 920, because negative times a positive is a negative. So we put that here. Negative 920 divided by negative 40. A negative divided by negative is going to be positive. Maybe you need a calculator a little bit to help you with this one, but 920 divided by 40 is 23. Now we'll put the 23 down here. And let's see what we've got. We've got subtracting a negative, but look what we have. We have these brackets here. So we have to work inside the brackets first. We have negative 110 plus negative 51. So we're going to add and keep the sign. So 110 plus 51 is 161, and it's going to be negative. So now we have 23 minus 161, which will be, we can rewrite it, because when we subtract, we add the opposite. 23 plus 161, which will equal positive 184. And that's the number we put here. So we have 3 times 184 minus a negative 92. First, we have to do the multiplication. So 3 times 184 is 552. Minus negative 92 can be rewritten when you subtract. You rewrite it as addition and change the sign of the second number. So if we add 92 to that, we will have 644. And we'll put the 644 on this line. Now we have different sign. We're adding We only need to do two numbers at a time. We can save the 4 for later. We have 644 plus a negative 620. If we have different signs, we subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So 644 minus 620 is 24. So this part is positive 24 plus this 4 equals 28. Now we'll put the 28 here. Now I'm going to let you finish this page, pause the video, and try to do them on your own, and then come back and we will check. Okay, I hope you worked on your own, not just copying answers. Here we have 28 minus 56. This is a positive 28 minus 56, so that's different signs. So what we need to do, get rid of that and that. What we need to do is we need to ignore the signs. I'm sorry, 28 minus 56 is add the opposite. So we rewrite it as 28 plus a negative 56. Now we subtract and just keep the sign of the larger number. So 28 plus negative 56 is negative 28. Negative 28 on the next line. Now let's do the parentheses first. 20 minus negative 20 minus 5 is negative 25 times negative 28. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So that would be 700. Positive 700. Now the 700 goes down here. And negative 75 divided by positive 700, we know will be a negative number. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. So down here we will have, let me double check my work. I'm using a calculator for this one. Negative 75 divided by 700 equals negative 0.1071. Then we're going to divide that by negative 84. Oops. I don't like the way I did that. Let me write that again. Negative 75 times 700 divided by negative 84 will equal 625. Now we have to put the 625 here. And 250 plus negative 1. So that's 250 minus 1. So this, 249 times 625. Negative 375. At our negative sign. And negative 375 divided by negative 75 times 25 will equal 125. I'm going to check on my calculator. Equals 125. Perfect. Okay. So negative 249 times 625, negative 375. Perfect. Ooh, had to get the calculator out for that one. Let's try the really hard one. How did you do? Okay, same thing, but we're going to end up with negative 600. So work in the parentheses first. Negative 20 plus 2 is negative 18. So 8 times negative 18 plus 24, and that will equal negative 120. That goes here. Okay, let's work in parentheses first. Negative 13 minus 11 is negative 24. Negative 120 divided by negative 24 will equal 5. And negative divided by negative is a positive. So let's work in the parentheses. 87 plus 28 is 115. So we have subtraction here. Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. And negative 35 minus 115 equals negative 150. That here. Negative 150 times negative 2 is a positive 300. So why don't you pause the video and try to work on the rest of them. Okay, did you work on the rest of them? Did you try them yourself? So we're going left to right. Negative 66 divided by negative 3 is going to be positive 33. Sorry, positive 22. I'm working too fast. Sorry about that, kids. Positive 22. So now we have 22 times 300 divided by 120. And that will equal 55. Remember, I've got all positive numbers down here, so this is going to be positive. Put the 55 there. Work in the parentheses first. Negative 6 minus 3 is negative 9 times 55. Now, plus a negative is the same as subtracting, so minus 495. So negative 9 times 55 minus 495, and that equals negative 990. So we put negative 990 here, and we have a negative times a negative, so the answer will be positive. So we're going to take negative 990 and divide it by negative 15, and we will get 66. And 66 goes on this line. So we start negative 5 times 66, which is negative 330. Now, we're going to save the multiplication. The order of operations tells us to multiply first. So 22 times negative 3 is negative 66. And this is plus. So the final answer should be negative 396. And we'll put that there, negative 396. So negative 396 divided by 33, we know the answer will be negative, and that happens to be negative 12. So we have negative 12 times, we have to work in the parentheses first, Negative 20 plus 70 is 50. So negative 12 times 50, and you can check on a calculator, and indeed it equals negative 600, and our answer checks, and we did a great job. So let's go back to the exit ticket. So when we add, if they have the same sign, we add and we keep the sign. If they have a different sign, we ignore the signs and we subtract, and then we take the sign for the answer of the number with the largest absolute value. So we take the sign of largest number. That's the symbol for number. When we subtract, change our color. When we subtract, we add the opposite. Then we follow the addition rules. Now, multiplying and dividing are much, much easier. For multiplication, a positive times a positive equals a positive. A negative times a negative equals a negative. A positive times a negative. Oops. Students, I must be getting really tired tonight. This should say positive. Let me fix it. Let me, my pen color. Let me get my pink back. Okay. Same sign, it's positive. Different signs, it's negative. So the same way, a negative times a negative equals a negative times a positive. Excuse me, I'm so tired. Okay. Equals a negative. Okay, division rules, new colors. So let's go with the blue again. So positive divided by a positive, or a negative divided by a negative, all of that is always a positive. Let's get another color. Now, a positive divided by a negative, or a negative divided by a positive, always will be negative. And that's it. I guess I'm really tired tonight, but if I've worked hard, I know you've worked hard. So thanks for all your hard work. You guys are doing a great job learning these integer rules. I'll see you in class soon. Bye-bye. You'll be great.